All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lions Leadership Den. This is Steve Rozenberg. I'm your host, and I'm here with my good friend, Alex Osenenko. And we are here talking about entrepreneurial journeys and what we all deal with. And we all know that as entrepreneurs, we all go through trials and tribulations and things that we have to deal with. And right now, this is kind of I think we're all in some form of journey, especially the guests that we have today. First of all, I'd like to say that if you are not a member of our Facebook group, the Sphere of Influence, go there and join it on Facebook. And you can also download this on iTunes as well as Google Play. So we ask that you just share this out as much as you can for other owners, entrepreneurs, real estate and not real estate related. It doesn't matter. This is all the entrepreneur's journey. And this is what we talk about, the trials and tribulations. So I've got a very special guest today. His name is Jeramy Poole. And I'll tell you quickly how I met Jeramy. Jeramy and I were both speaking at an event of a mutual, very good friend of ours, Tarl and Grace Yarborough, up in the Pacific Northwest Badass Real Estate Expo. So just that alone is a pretty cool name, I got to say.
Yeah.
And they are good people, good friends of ours. I met Jeramy there. Jeramy was just dominating the stage. He was interacting with people. I was like, man, this is a cool guy, man. I got to meet this guy. And so we started chatting a little bit. Turns out, Alex, he's kind of in your genre of digital marketing and social media stuff.
Right on.
But also he's into real estate and is doing some masterminds we'll talk about. And, it was very enlightening to meet him, talk with him, have conversations. And I said, man, I got to have you on my show. And I was on your show a couple of weeks ago. And now you're getting ready for your mastermind, which I want to talk about a little bit and how you did that. So with no further ado, Jeramy Poole, thanks for being on our show today, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, brother. I'm excited and always happy to do this kind of stuff. It's always a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell everyone a little bit about kind of yourself, your background, where you started and kind of where you are now.
What are you famous for?
Famous. I don't know about that. But, you mentioned journey a couple times in that introduction, and that's exactly what my life has been. So I'm now 34. I turned 35 actually next week, this week, Saturday. And I didn't go to college, went to high school, obviously graduated just barely. And in high school, I knew that I was an entrepreneur. I was always trying to bend the rules. I was a good kid. I never skipped school or did anything bad, but I was always trying to negotiate with my teachers and say, hey, like, I'm not going to necessarily do my assignments, but what if I ace the test? Will still give me a B+? And so I kind of learned that through communication, through presentation, you can influence and almost get anything that you want. Shortly after graduating high school in 2002, I started a moving and transportation company right out of the gate. I was living with my brother and my mom in a small apartment, and they were both working, and spent all summer pretty much just playing. And they said, finally, hey, Jeramy, you need to get a job and start contributing. So rather than getting a job, which is the last thing I wanted to do, I started a moving and transportation company, was able to land some pretty large accounts with like Cost Plus World Market. I had the whole state account, Pier 1 Imports, Costco, really quickly, just by learning how to communicate with decision makers, creating scripts, and just presenting myself in a way that would allow me to give them what they want. And I've always kind of been an entrepreneur, starting things from scratch, building them up, using imagery to do so. And then I really didn't jump into real estate until about 2009. I ran that business for 6 years. I was able to have my brother working for me, my sister working for me. I retired my mom when I was 23. She's not retired now because I was not able to maintain that lifestyle longer than like 8 years. But it was kind of cool to say, hey, mom, you no longer have to work and I'll pay all the bills. Jumped into real estate as my moving company started to crash, and I was running it purely through cash. I had about, 30 employees, and I'm paying everybody weekly with cash. I had no understanding of how to manage credit, how to establish credit. If I had somebody in my family that was an entrepreneur, ran businesses before me, they kind of teach me the ropes. Who knows how far that particular business could have gone, but I learned a ton about that. And then as soon as I got into the real estate space in 2009, starting to do mortgages, I quickly realized that if I was going to be a mortgage lender, I wanted to do things my way. Learning about business, learning how to communicate, learning how to influence people, I quickly became really, really good at calling leads and really good at getting new clients, over the phone, and then obviously meeting them in person. But I quickly realized that I was not a very good employee. I wanted to do things my way. I was always looking for a smarter, faster way to do things. And so as quickly as I could get out of that situation into another situation, I started a financial services company in Kirkland, Washington, then moved that to San Diego, ran that for a few years, sold my stock to that, and then came back to Washington. This was 2015 to get back in the mortgage business. And that's kind of brings me up to where we are today in terms of how I got into some of the stuff that I was doing. So here I am, I'm back in Tacoma, Washington. I'm freaked out because I was just living in Solana Beach, literally on the beach, on the bluff, wearing tank tops and flip-flops, working from my laptop every single day. And the thing that I love to tell people is that I didn't appreciate it. I didn't appreciate it at all. I wanted more, right? I wanted a Ferrari. I wanted a bigger house. I wanted it all. And I made some decisions that scared the crap out of me. So here I am back in my hometown, Tacoma, Washington, and I'm now in a situation where I'm back in doing mortgages, wearing a suit and tie every single day. I have a plush office and everything's grand, and I should be happy, but it wasn't enough. And I wanted to grow my real estate lending practice in a way that was unorthodox. I did not want to cold call 45 agents on Monday to ask them for coffee in the hope of convincing them that my turn times and my rates are the best. Like, that was just not how I wanted to present myself. And so I created this nonprofit organization called P&W Real Estate Social Club for the sole purpose of me having the legal ability and still be compliant while having a mortgage license to raise money from large corporations such as escrow companies, insurance companies, what have you, any kind of organization that I want to market to top brokers. And then I would get them to help me pay for these sort of extravagant networking parties. And that's kind of where I discovered video marketing and social media, is that I had this idea that what if I don't present myself, or I don't market myself as a mortgage lender? Instead, I market myself as the director of P&W Real Estate Social Club, which its sole purpose is to throw these kind of over the top networking parties that nobody else was doing. Oftentimes if a lender throws a party, he's going to pay for pizza and a few beers, but let's be honest, it's pretty lame, right? Like, almost no one shows up. So I created this first event. I called it the P&W Real Estate Social Club launch party, rented out this really nice swanky restaurant on the marina, outside DJ. I hired an interior designer to hook up the inside of the restaurant as well as the outside. There was balloons, there was confetti. We were raffling off $200 Nordstrom's gift cards. It was just over the top. And I made sure that if you were a man, you were coming, you at very least had to be in a sport coat and jeans, and women, stilettos, cocktail dress. Like, I was going for the Great Gatsby of real estate parties. And long story short, we had 84 people show up for that particular event. I was able to walk away with 5 mortgage loans, not like applications or people who were interested, but 5 deals that actually closed from my very first event. And I just got back in the space of real estate. And then so from there, I decided that if I can use video to get that many people who didn't know me from Adam, who had no idea who I was, could I go even bigger? So I decided that I was going to reinvest those monies to rent out a 8,400 square foot Chihuly glass museum in downtown Tacoma. Prior to this, there's never been a private person who's ever rented out
Jeremy,
this.
I have a question for you, man. This is piquing my interest. I just can't sit still.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I can't. Your first event.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for context, me and my partner, Jordan Morla, we put together an annual conference for property management companies. It's a lot of work getting people to show up and getting the right people to show up for your first event. Give us some of the tips and tricks on how you put the right butts in the seats, or I guess right feet in the stilettos. I don't know what to say, but
sure.
Right people in the door.
Great question. For me, keep in mind that I had no experience doing this. I I've never even threw a birthday party, let alone a baby shower or a barbecue. No experience whatsoever. So I just did it overkill. And by overkill, meaning I filmed a bunch of small little short videos of me with my phone, and I kept putting them out there. I kept telling people it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. I kept telling people, you better come dressed to impress. And in fact, if you're not dressed well enough, I'm simply not going to let you in the front door. I just kept putting it out there to where,
specifically out there, like where, how so video recorded. All right, so how do you propagate it?
Absolutely. So what I did was I started surfing through Facebook, and I started looking for the kind of people that I wanted to do business with. I made a very long list of those people. I think it was about 500 people between, like a 45-mile radius. I created a Facebook event page, created a really awesome logo with Fiverr, which cost me like $15. And then I began to use that Facebook page to drip content. As I'm dripping this content, I'm promoting Ticor Title just sponsored it for $1,000. American Family Insurance just sponsored it for $1,000. And slowly but surely, every single day, people are seeing this thing develop that a week ago didn't even exist. And then I began, once I had enough content out there to where that event on Facebook looked interesting enough, I started to invite key people. And then those key people who reached out to me, like, who the heck are you and what are you doing? I would start having those dialogues on the event page. So it looked like this was the place to be before it was the place to be. And
so that's interesting. Let me sort of wireframe the playbook.
Yeah.
Right. So I just you're super, like, I love your passion and how you sort of go and breaking this down. But for the audience, let's give them a takeaway. Takeaway number one from Jeramy Poole, right there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you want to do a successful event, do the following things. Find people that you want to be associated with on Facebook.
So let me just go deeper on that really quickly.
Please do.
I said to myself, who do I want to be around as a friend, first and foremost? As a friend, let's just say they don't have business to send to me. Who are the people that I want to spend time with? And do those people have the ability to give me business? If those answers are yes, then who do I need to be? What is going to attract those individuals? And then let's put that imagery, let's put that wording, let's put that culture and that genre in front of them in the form of this event. And my thought process was that would attract them.
Right.
Hey, Jeramy, let me ask you this real quick. What was the goal of you doing this whole event? Were you saying, like, I want to make X dollars?
He was trying to sell mortgages. Like, that was at that time, right? Right. Jeremy, that was your, like, end goal. Like, I want to make bread.
Yes. And so, yes, I was trying to do mortgages, but here's the interesting thing, guys. I was trying to get out of doing mortgages as quickly as possible. And how I was trying to do that is I thought to myself, if more people in this market knew me and really got to know me, despite the fact that I haven't done a mortgage in 6 years, I have a lot of business experience and business experience building businesses, raising money for businesses, things of that nature. If they got to know that side of me, it wouldn't matter what I was selling or what I was offering. They would want to do business with me.
Right.
And
so
go ahead.
Just so I think, Alex, I think what I was hearing him say, and this is what I was curious about, is the goal wasn't to sell mortgages. The goal was to elevate himself at a higher level.
Correct.
That would get him to something that was at some point taking him to the next level and using that platform of that. So, like, it wasn't to sell mortgages. It wasn't to say, I'm going to sell $10,000 worth of mortgages or $1 million worth of mortgages. It was to establish himself as a key player. I think
that's right.
But here's so I agree with all that, but I'm going with what Jeremy said. And Jeremy, we're just picking entrepreneurs apart here, so
yeah, please do.
Bear with us. And it's for your own good, and mostly for our audience's benefit. But the first thing he said, Steve, as he was going through it, the first thing he said, that event landed me 5 mortgages. That was so I know that. Maybe now you're looking at it like, hey, I wanted to meet people, but you needed an outcome of some kind to show success. You wouldn't do it again.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Because initially I had to get my bank to sign off on that, because the top guy in Pierce County was in my office. The top lender in Pierce County at the time was in my office, doing 15 to 20 deals a month. And he would try to do stuff like this, but he would have 10 and 15 people show up.
Right.
So my branch manager was like, Jeramy, I like you a lot. I love your charisma. But in the back of his mind, later he told me this, he was like, I thought it would be a complete failure. Because I liked you and I wanted you to just to get a taste to see how hard it is to get people to show up, he got corporate to sponsor $1,000. And so the outcome had to be return on investment, right? I had to get mortgages from it. But I think the really interesting thing that I did now looking back on it is I was willing to fail. If I didn't get any mortgages, I didn't care, because just like what Steve was saying, deep down the core of this, as I was simply trying to elevate my own personal brand.
I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say that, and look, there's a way to do that, but I think there's also, I think it's wise to have a focus, right? And to have an outcome and build even deeper relationship, because guess what? The 5 people you sold mortgages to, you probably are very well connected compared to others who you just sort of casually meet on Facebook, right? You do business with somebody, especially at that level.
Well, yeah, I think that when you're holding an event like this and you're bringing it as an upper level event, the only people that are going to show up are players, right? People that are in the game. So those 5 mortgages probably mushroom to maybe, 50 or whatever that number is down the road, or other business, or set them up with information or introductions to other people. So even though, I know obviously you've got to put some monetization on it to show, okay, I made some money on it. I at least covered my base. I'm guessing at some point, like if I was doing that event, it'd be like, okay, and again, and I don't know if you did this, like it was like, okay, what is it that I want out of it? Is it obviously, look, everybody wants money, right? Everybody says, I'd like to make this much money and close this many clients. But it could be to elevate.
You have to have an objective, Steve.
Well, I get that.
Go ahead, finish your point. I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish your point. I'm just saying your events sometimes don't have I didn't say that.
But okay, but here's the thing. So, okay, Alex, so your events that you put on, right? When you put on your events, Alex, what is the objective of those events? Because you've got 2 different targets that you're going
so that objective evolved. And Alex, you're absolutely right. The key objective.
No, it's not.
Well, so you're both right, and here's why.
Very nice.
The key objective, it had to be really pointed and really direct. I'm going to build my business differently by throwing swanky networking events so people can meet me and then want to do business with me, regardless if my interest rates were higher, regardless if I was less experienced, regardless of everything else. They'd want to work with Jeramy Poole, because if I called them being a broker, they would answer the phone and be happy. Hey, Jeramy, how's it going? First and foremost. Then secondly, what's going on with my deals? That was my intent, is that if I can get you to like me first and foremost, you're going to give me a shot. And then secondly, I thought to myself that I really want to elevate myself and get out of the typical mortgage lender. Most of them are very cookie cutter. They're dry. They don't have personalities. They never have ran businesses before. And so I was trying to make myself look different, as big of a difference as possible between your average loan officer compared to who I was trying to become. I wanted there to be just this huge gap in between that. And I thought the best way to do that was to throw a swanky party.
That's fantastic. Let's fast forward to today. We have 15 minutes or so left. I want to make sure we use the time wisely, man. You have a wealth of knowledge to impart. I just want to sort of channel it, put some bumpers, and roll you down to take out some pins for our audience. How's that analogy for you, Steve?
That was good. I like that one.
Okay, on the fly, baby. So you do. This is I'm a branding guy, I'm a marketing guy too.
Sure.
Your website says, connecting people around real estate, which is pretty vague, but as a like sort of overall mission statement, it sounds pretty good. As soon as you scroll down, it says exactly what you do, which I love, which is video marketing for real estate industry. Tell us more, like, isn't like real estate is flashy enough. It's about a personal brand, right? Let's just face it. It's personal brand. Big deal is a personal brand. From there, you can build a team and whatever. Give us some of the stuff. How did you get into the video, and what does your product do? Like, what is the outcome if somebody hires you?
Love that. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a 5-minute explanation of how I got from that first event to where I am right now. Is that event, first of all, I was shaking in my boots before the event because I didn't even know how to RSVP or how to validate who was coming and who's not. So as soon as I start seeing people pour in, my confidence grew. Towards the end of the event, I grabbed the microphone and I said, my next event is going to be the biggest, baddest, sexiest event Tacoma, Washington has ever seen in the history of the city. I rented out the Glass Museum. I threw a party, just marketed the heck out of it. I had 474 people show up, ended up bringing like $60,000 from that event, walked away with like $27,000 after paying for all the bills and everything. And that put me on the map. That got people reaching out to me and saying, who the hell are you? And why are you doing this? Then from there, I'm having lunches, I'm having coffee with top brokers that if I approached them from being a mortgage lender wanting their business, they wouldn't have taken my phone call. Now they're reaching out to me, which is exactly what I was trying to do. I needed them to be interested in me first and foremost, and secondly, be interested in what I could do for them because I wanted to be their friend, and that's how I've always built businesses. From there, I found that most of the top brokers that I wanted to work with have been through some terrible stuff. Yes, they're wearing Louis Vuitton. Yes, some of them are driving really nice sports cars. But beyond that, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they went through something terrible, which I was calling The Moment. And I started this little talk show, this vlog called The Moment, which eventually allowed me to start traveling the country and interviewing top mortgage lenders and top brokers and things of that nature. And on each of one of those trips, I would film a little highlight video of my experience. So maybe it's me in the back of a Rolls Royce Ghost in Manhattan, New York, and looking at wonderful things, or maybe it's in Beverly Hills and I'm in
Gary Vee-esque.
Gary Vee-esque. And before I even knew who Gary Vee was, again, I would like to say that I had this master plan, but I was just having fun, and I'm doing these really cool things that I couldn't believe that just a few months ago I was doing mortgages in Gig Harbor, right? I was nobody, and now all of a sudden I'm being invited to this new stratosphere of people in the realm of real estate. And I just thought it would be cool to show my lifestyle. It'd be cool to show people what I'm doing, but I wasn't cognitive of what I was doing. I wasn't cognitive.
So is that what you're doing now? You're kind of showing the personalization, creating the
Right.
Attractive character of the people. Sure. And that's kind of what you're doing on the video side?
Absolutely. So what happened was, and here's interesting. I had no intent of starting a video marketing company. That was never my plan. But I started getting a ton of requests from mortgage guys, from top builders to entire companies, the heads of entire companies reaching out and saying, hey, can we hire you to help us with our marketing? And I found that to be surprising. Like, I have no degree doing that. I have no intent in starting a marketing company. So the first few people, I started telling them no. But then I started getting a flood of people reaching out and sort of viewing me as this expert when it comes to video marketing and building your brand on social media. And I started looking at some of the stuff that I've been able to do. And I took a little vlog from one episode to, I don't know, by the time we got to about 10 episodes, we were looking at 20, 30, 40,000 views per week. And I did that for about a year. And so I said, I guess I do know what I'm doing. and so then I did end up starting a company, and just morphed P&W Real Estate Social Club to Real Estate Social, that specializes in helping people create brands and tell their story using video. And so the number one product that we've been selling is I call a video business card. Everybody has a business card, and you say, here's my business card, and I do a great job. But what could you tell them in a 2-minute video using music, using scripting, using your attitude, your personality, your pizzazz? What could you show somebody, or what should somebody know about you before meeting with you? And I just saw a huge need for that in the market. A buddy of mine who's actually now the top mortgage lender in Pierce County, and one of the top in the state, and says, hey, I have a huge database of agents. I do the most business around here, and we do a monthly meetup, and I have about 20 to 30 agents. Why don't you come and do a presentation on your video, products, and maybe they'll buy some. I've never even done a presentation on video marketing before. I didn't even have like a actual product laid out.
What year was that? Was that 2006, 17 or so?
Yeah, this was last year. This was
18. Gotcha. Yeah, all right.
This was early 2018. And so here I am in front of, 32 agents. Most of them know exactly who I am because they've been watching The Moment now for over a year. And so I had that credibility going for me. And I just told my story. And I just walked them through how I use videos on social media to build my brand. And this has been my journey.
So
And,
I've got a question for you. I'm going to cut you off because I want to make sure we answer this for people.
Sure.
The one thing I love about you, Jeramy, is your drive. I think your drive is just, I think you're always, you know, and I resonate with that because I'm a very driven person as well. But let me ask you this. What drives you and what scares you?
Real simple. And it's the same thing, man. When I was 18 years old, I was literally crying to God, asking him to give me an incredible life. My grandpa lived a very simple life, worked for the same company his whole life and died as a welder. My dad's a great guy. You know, he's always provided for us well. Started working for Boeing when he was 24 and retired. You know, we always lived in a nice house, always drove nice cars, but nobody in my family ever swung for the fences. And I don't know if they never had a dream or if they were scared or what, but I was born with a dream. And I don't care how many times I fall. I've had big ups and I have big downs, but I want an incredible story. I want my story to be so incredible that when I tell my grandchildren what I did and they turn to grandma and say, Grandpa didn't actually do any of that, did he? And then have her say, yes, he actually did everything that he told he did.
And then you have the video to back it up.
And have the video to back it up. You know, life is short. And, you know, I honestly think this way. Once we pass on, I believe that we're going to be conscious. And I do not want to look back and say, dang it, Jeremy, you could have been more. You should have started that business. You should have asked that woman to marry you. You should have done this. You should have done that. And I want to leave it all here, man. And if that means that I crash and burn a few times, then so be it. So that's what scares me. And that's what drives me, is that I just want to see how far I can go. And I don't care what people. So the beautiful part about branding is that so many people are so caught up on what people think about them. For me, I came from the perspective is that I'm satisfied with who I am. And I don't necessarily care what you think about me all that much.
Right. And I think a lot of people think that. I think they think it, but they're afraid to say it.
Right.
I think many people, or they wish they could be that way. They wish they could be as bold to say, you know, to get it. Look, when I saw you, you know, you were speaking on stage, I was speaking on stage. I didn't really care who was there and what they thought of me, you know, but I think that resonates, you know, I mean, I think that resonates. And I think that what you're doing and how you're living your life is very admirable, especially as an entrepreneur. I mean, look, you're doing things, you're going out there and you're, you know, throwing money at events that you don't know if it's going to return. You don't even have a defined return. You just know that you want to elevate your game to be at a higher level. And you know that deep down in your gut, this is telling you that this could be the avenue. Now, I want to talk about your mastermind, because you and I talked about that, and I'm not going to be able to make this one. But tell everyone kind of the concept behind it, why you created it, and what do you want out of it? Like, what's your goal out of this?
Yeah, no. So great question. And I appreciate you asking the question on this. Is that a year ago in May, I went to a mastermind. I did a big event in Seattle. We had about 350 agents come out, and took a lot of time. It was a really expensive event. It was like a $50,000 event, and we barely broke even. And a buddy of mine reached out, and he says, hey, do you just want to build your brand and work really hard? Are you actually trying to do something amazing? Are you actually trying to eventually get rich? And I said, well, what do you think, man? Because this guy asking me this question was rich. And so he said, why don't you come out to my mastermind? It's $5,000. It's in Malibu. It's going to change your life. And that's kind of all he said. I'm like, well, what goes into it? I mean, $5,000 plus travel, plus all this and that. And he says, it's not about who's in the room, Jeremy. It's about who's not in the room. Just trust me on this. Come here. I'll be on your show the moment. It's going to change your life. And I went there, and there was just 16 guys sitting in a circle talking about the top 3 things that they're going to walk away with from this event. It could be business. It could be personal. It could be whatever. And I didn't know what to expect. I left there, and it changed my life, because everyone in that room was in a much higher level than I was financially. I'm pretty sure everyone in that room was a multi-millionaire except for me. And as soon as it got round to me to do my hot seat, and they're asking me questions, I had all my answers laid out, right? I was just getting ready to just impress everyone in the room. And that's not how it went. You know, they were spending like 30, 45 minutes on everyone else. They spent like 2.5 hours on me, and it hurt. The first 30 minutes, I wanted to leave, guys. You know, it did not feel good. But then I realized I just need to surrender and let go. And I call it being naked, and just give them just give them the truth, right? Give them the truth and let it just hang out. And I left there with some really meaningful relationships. More importantly, I left there with a bigger vision for myself and a bigger vision for my business and ultimately where I want to go. And the thing I left with that changed my life, at first it kind of hurt my feelings, is they said, Jeramy, you're Neiman Marcus. You talk Neiman Marcus, you dress Neiman Marcus. I was the only guy there wearing a Hugo Boss suit. Everybody else was in shirts and, you know, t-shirts. And they said, you're Neiman Marcus, but you're selling a Walmart product. I'm like, what do you mean I'm selling a Walmart product? I started this thing from scratch. I'm doing X amount. I now have an office. I have staff. I grew this thing super fast. And my videos cost $4,000. Like, what do you mean? How is that Neiman Marcus? Because, Jeramy, you shouldn't be selling anything unless it's less than $40,000. You should be structuring packages. You should be going after this. And everything they said just made so much sense. And it was so simple. And I never even thought of it. I never thought, instead of selling one video or, you know, a package of 3, I should only be talking to the top people who can afford to pay 30, 40, 50,000. And it's not like these are just yahoos who are suggesting this. These are people who have also taken something from scratch and scaled it to a 7-figure business. So I took everything they said as truth. And I left there thinking to myself, I have to do this for other people. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I would love for people to view me as like the Tony Robbins of real estate. I would love to build an organization that connects people around real estate and improves lives by putting new ideas, more inspiration, and just fire into people's bellies. That if you want to do something, then get out there and do it. And if you're serious enough to come to one of my masterminds, I'm going to try to plug you. I'm going to do my very best to connect you with people who can actually help you make your dreams come true. And that's what this Fearless Mastermind is all about, is bringing people together who are already pretty successful, but want to go for another wild ride and are going to depend on and be vulnerable enough to say, I have my stuff together in this area, but if I'm going to expand from Washington to San Diego or to Manhattan or wherever it is, I'm going to need help, guys. And here's my plan, but please tear it apart and help me build it back up so I can leave this event and conquer the world. And so that's what this whole thing's about.
What are you hoping to get out of these masterminds personally?
Yeah, so I want to build a world-class circuit of real estate focused masterminds that are around the world. And I want them to help me say, okay, Jeramy, this event was fantastic, but I think you could improve here. I think you can actually increase your price. I think you should have a monthly model as well. And just sort of help me understand what they need as a successful person who's in real estate. I would love for them to say, Jeramy, I want to come to an event every single quarter and pay you a $5,000 fee because it's going to enhance my business. But here's what I need this event to provide in order for me to do that. And so that's why, I mean, that's my number one thing, is I want to test this new model, and I want to get feedback from people who paid a hefty fee to be there, to give me feedback on, if you want me to come back, here's what you have to do, or bro, you smacked it out of the park. Please invite me next time.
Nice. Nice. And you're doing these every quarter?
Yeah, that is my plan. And hopefully doing them, you know, eventually every month.
Got it.
So you still, what about, so we sort of walk through the past, you know, into the current. We have 2 minutes. What is the future looking like? What do you have an actual business plan? Do you actually have business plan with numbers and specific goals?
Yeah.
Or do you sort of just sort of go by gut right now?
So we can actually go to about 950.
Okay.
But
I got to check out in 2, but you guys.
Okay. Are you familiar with the 12-week year by Brian Moran?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a certified trainer of the 12-week year. And the first mastermind I went to was with Brian Moran to his 12-week year deal. And so I don't believe in long-term plans because they never work for me. I believe in short-term spurts and then reassess and see what's the next best move. And so my business plan consists of about 12 months. And over the next 12 months, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to get to a point where I'm doing these easily and I'm not stressed out, and I'm doing these events once per quarter, plus running my boutique real estate team here in Tacoma, doing just a handful of deals of people that I really want to work with. And so my intention is not necessarily to grow my real estate business that big. I just want that to be rolling and to sort of help grease the wheels for doing what I absolutely truly love, is inspiring people and bringing folks together.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I got to check out, guys. You finished, Jeremy. It was a pleasure meeting you, man. I hope you and I can connect for coffee. Maybe I can come to one of your fancy events. I don't know. You
don't have the clothes. You don't have the clothes for it, man.
You're not getting it. No, absolutely.
I'll get you a vest.
I sure appreciate you, brother. Have a great day. And yeah, let's definitely connect, man.
Man, you inspire people. You inspire me, man. Lots of energy. Pleasure to meet you, Jeremy.
Thank you, brother.
Steve, you guys wrap it up.
Yeah,
have a great day.
Yep.
Have a great day.
So Jeremy, let me ask you this. When you talk to people that are new, right? And they come to you and they say, hey man, I want to get going. I want to conquer the world. Do you kind of sit them down and say, okay, wait a second, let's do this in phases, easy killer. Like I mean, yeah, it's good to conquer the world, let's eat it one bite at a time. How do you get that? Cause you probably get a lot of people in real estate that want that, right?
Yeah. No, actually, every now and again, I'll have somebody reach out who's brand new and they say, hey, how do I go from 0 to 60? I don't have a brand. I don't have a presence online. What should I do? And I'm always willing to help. But I think the people that have been most attracted to me and the people that I sort of attract the most are people who are doing a hell of a lot better than I am.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things. I think what you see yourself as doing and what other people see you as doing are two different things. Right. And it's,
right. Yeah.
It's one of the, sometimes you think you're like, man, I'm just not doing anything. It's like, I just can't get out of my way today. And then you get other people calling you and going, man, you are just killing it. What do you do every day? And you're kind of like, same day, right? Nothing. It's like an hour later. And you're like, I was just ready to jump off the building a couple minutes ago. Now I'm a hero,
That is so true. That is so true. And that's so true to my story as far as how things progressed, is that I just had my head down. I just had my head down doing the next best thing that I thought was right, just trying to follow my heart. And it's hard, right? You're stressed out. You're not really sure. Like you were saying, you have this idea for an event and you put all this time, you put all this money, and you have no idea if you're going to get a return on your investment or if you're even going to break even.
Right.
And so there's just a lot of stress and worry involved in all this, but you have to love it. And it is nice to have complete strangers reach out and say those kinds of things to you. Then you're like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because I always tell people are like, man, you seem like you work a lot, and it's funny. It's all the people who are not as successful or not successful that tell me to slow down. You need to slow down. Maybe you're working kind of hard. You don't need to get up so early to go to the gym. You need to take it easy. And I'm like, it's funny. I never have met one successful person in my life that tells me work less,
right?
Sleep more. All of them are always telling me, man, you got to work harder. You got to beat everybody else. And that's what I try to do. I get up in the morning to beat everyone else and whatever it takes. I'm a, like you, we talked about this. I'm a whatever it takes kind of guy, man, whatever it takes to win.
And, Steve, we have no idea how long we're going to be here. And so for me, it's a balance between, I want to do a lot of stuff that I really enjoy doing, regardless if it brings me money or not. And at the same time, I want to make sure I'm moving as aggressively and as forcefully as possible towards my goals, just because, we just don't know how long we're going to be here.
And, again, another story, but, you have family members that passed. But, one thing I always learned is I had a brother that passed early on. And, you realize everyone has an expiration date over their head. You just don't know what that expiration date is. Yeah. And you want to live your life and say, you know what, man, I had my back against the wall and every single day I came out swinging and every day I made a difference. And if you can say that, more power to you,
More power to you. And the reason why it was so important for me to call this event Fearless is that if you accept the fact that one day you're going to die, then what else do you have to be afraid of? How dare you not pick up that phone? How dare you not send that email? How dare you not go start that business or expand out of state or do whatever you want to do? Because if you accept the reality that you're going to die, then what really else can hurt you? What I mean?
Yeah, I agree, man. 100% agree. And again, you meet so many people. And I think the one common thread of people that are successful that I've met, the one common thread or common word with them is action.
Action.
They took action. They, you know, like you, the blind faith, they didn't know what they were doing. They just said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to grind it and I'm going to see what I can do. And if you know what, I'm okay with failing. I'm okay with losing money. I'm fine with that. It's, you know, you can always make money back. You can never get time back.
No.
And so if you don't take action, that's what you're losing is time.
That's right.
So I think it's great. So Jeramy, as we wrap up, I know you got to go. What's a good way for people to get a hold of you, whether they want to do the mastermind or talk to you about some videos or whatever you got going on?
Absolutely. Yeah. So one great way, if you guys want to call me, I'm always available, 253-761-6849. You can email me at Jeramy, spelled a little different, Jeramy at realestatesocial.com. You know, I'm all over social media, so you can find me there and send me a message. And if you're interested in Fearless Masterminds, you should go to fearlessmasterminds, plural with an S.com, fearlessmasterminds.com. And that has all the information about this particular event. And then we have some upcoming events as well. We're looking at Miami. We're looking at New York. And then I'm also looking to get out of country places to like Barcelona as quickly as possible as well.
That's awesome, man. I can hardly wait to go. I'm sorry I can't make this one this weekend.
Worries, buddy.
I know it's going to be a good one. I know it's going to be a good one, but I know you're going to have Charles and Grace there, so it'll be a good event. I know for sure. So, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming on, Jeramy. I know Alex and I were looking forward to talking to you. You definitely delivered today. And for those of you that are watching, please go to our Facebook group, the Sphere of Influence. Join that group. We have people just like Jeramy and other people on there that are constantly talking about stuff, talking about business challenges, entrepreneur issues, just all the stuff we deal with. And again, please download this on iTunes. And Jeramy, thank you so much, brother. I will see you next time I'm up in Seattle. I'll be coming and knocking on your door, my man.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you. Have a great day, and always enjoy hanging out with you.
All right. We'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.